So basically, as I mentioned, what happens when you design a plant is you've got your average flow for the year. So that's just you take all the flows and then just average them. And that's how a plant is typically rated. So the Grand Bend plant, for example, the current design was rated for 4659 cubic meters a day. So that's that flow over that whole year divided by 365, and that's what you get. Now, where that becomes important is in a plant, you design some of the components for peak flow, and you design some for average flow. So that the peak flow, so you have to also look not just at that average flow, but you also have to look at what peak flow you're applying on the plant. And what's been applied for the current design is they've taken normally the peak is placed on the average. So you've got the average flow through the year, so you take it, again, 365 days, and then you put a peaking factor on that average, and that gets you your peak design flow. The current design, what they did is they said, okay, July and August are our worst months, so we're going to take that as our pseudo average, and then we're going to peak that. So that's where they are right now with where the peak flow design currently sits, or where that peak factor is defined as. And as I mentioned, some of the items are designed for peak flow. The grit, what we call the headworks, or the front end process, the grit. The screens are designed for peak, and the clarifiers and filters in UV are designed for peak, and then the aeration tank is designed at average flow. So having the right average flow is you need to have that proper, but also having the right peak flow is important because, again, it affects the sizing of some of the major parts of the plant, and the ability to modify that peak flow also, again, affects the sizing of sort of the front end and the back end of the plant. So it can have a fairly decent impact on capital cost. So basically, one of the things we really want to look at seriously is using your existing lagoons as equalization storage. So you can imagine that you've got your flows are going up and down all the time, and the plant, if you didn't have equalization, the plant's got to be able to manage those up and downs, as they come at it, unless you can, you have no, because the sewage is coming down the pipe, as people are flushing the toilet. So you've got to be able to manage those peaks. Well, one of the things we want to do is take a really good look at the lagoon. So you've got the lagoon kind of acts as a buffer storage to manage those peaks, and the flow out of it becomes constant. So what that allows us to do is to bring a lot of the components of the plant down to a smaller size, reduce the overall cost of them. So I kind of threw this graphic up to kind of show you, and hopefully it comes across what that impact is. And if you look at, if you don't have equalization, again, we're designing the oxidation ditch, the aeration tank at average day flow, so it's the same size, no matter whether equalization has no effect on it. But the screens, the grit, the clarifiers, and the filters are much larger if there is an equalization. But if we go with equalization, again, we can shrink these down because we're using this as our buffer instead of basically that other equipment as our buffer. And you already own the lagoons. They're built, they're operating, they're there, right? So it's an asset that is existing and can be capitalized on. So I just wanted to throw this up, and it may be technical. There's a lot of numbers there, but I thought if you kind of look at the graph, you kind of get a flavor for where the opportunities are that we've come up with so far. Is that the current design has been based on, the front end is based on peaking factor 13.5. The aeration tank, because they looked at maximum month design, is really a peaking factor 1.7, and then the secondary clarifiers in the back end were 5.7. So a normal peaking factor for a community the size of Grand Bend, including the all the three, you know, the contributing municipalities would be around 3.3 to 3.4 would be what we would typically design for. And that comes out of the Ministry of Environment guidelines, and there's lots of sort of background documents to kind of support that 3 to 3.4, and it's all based on population. The current design, what they did again is they took the maximum month and then they peaked that up. So they've added sort of 1.7 on top of that average day flow. So really sort of taking everything by a factor of 1.7. If we use equalization, we can basically store that peak, those peak months, and feed the plant kind of an average day, you know, more of a constant rate throughout the year. So keep the plant running relatively constant, even though the inflow is coming in up and down. And that graph kind of shows you over here that the red is sort of where we were current design, and the blue shows you where you might design things if you were using equalization. So you can see that there's a fair, you know, it's not quite double, or it's not quite half. It's maybe 30 to 40% that we could reduce the sizing on. And just kind of when I looked at that, just to kind of give you a flavor of how big things are, even with the sludge wetland, the existing lagoons are almost 400,000 cubic meters, which really doesn't mean anything. But if you use one of them to maintain that sludge wetland, where the FCM grant is, and you take one other lagoon out so that you can build a plant somewhere, you need that real estate. You still have those two other lagoons, and those two other lagoons at the maximum month flows will store all that excess flow for 59 days, or as close to 60 days, as close to the 2 months as you can get. So there is enough storage there to do that equalization throughout that maximum month, which is the worst period, as well as do all the things at the plant that you were planning on doing before. So now I just sort of get into where we are with our evaluation and what we were looking at. We developed a list of evaluation criteria that we were going to use to evaluate each of the alternatives. The first, the ability to meet effluent criteria, acceptance by the MOE, so you don't want to come up with anything off the wall. Excuse me, the ability to manage peak flows, because we do know that we do have such high seasonal peaks. There are also minimal flows, because you do have that high summer flow, but then you've also got a very low winter flow. And the disadvantage to the low winter flow is that's when it's cold and bugs aren't working so well and things are freezing up and that kind of thing. So we've got to be able to manage that. We also wanted to look and make sure that we could deal with septage. Sludge management or biosolids management is always a problem. There's always not a problem, but always a challenge at a sewage plant. In that you create this sludge, you've got to do something with it. So whatever happens, you've got to make sure you've got that incorporated. Spatial requirements, which is basically footprint and land area. Land requirements, again, that's site property boundaries. Expandability, because of the potential growth and trying to allow the various municipalities to manage their growth over time, or manage the plant in response to growth, I guess is probably the better question. We want to make sure that it was expandable, and that sort of goes to a phased approach for construction as well. And then construction time, because you've got a limit on your grant funding, and that's also an impact to grant as well. No sense saving a whack of money and then turn around and say, well, no, that's fundable. So, and also impacting the ESR, because you don't want to have to reopen that ESR again because you're on a time crunch and you don't have to. And then redesign costs, because you got to keep that in mind that you could come up with an alternative that's got a lower capital cost, but the engineering cost to redesign it are is huge. So it's a total